This is my second week with Unreal, and I want to talk about some concepts that I found interesting while I was researching game development techniques. I want to talk about the idea of tutorial hell, what it is, and the future of what I plan to make. Hi, my name's Dan, and this series follows my journey into game development. If you like what you see, hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on my weekly videos. Thank you very much. So this week's challenge is going to be a very basic 3D puzzle game, again following the Unreal Engine tutorial from gamedev.tv. This challenge really showcased my weaknesses in level design and lighting. I know this is just a prototype and won't be released, but these are areas that I need to gain significant improvement in if I ever hope to release something. The idea of scale is something that I've always struggled with. The way this level is built is using modular components, which means there are specific tiles, areas, props that can be used repeatedly to make the level. When I was creating this, I thought the level was going to be quite small, but I wasn't aware that each of the floor and wall tiles were about 6 meters in length in Unreal World units. So I ended up creating this vast dining hall crypt thing. I haven't sussed out the lighting either. I don't like how intensely it starts off around the flames and then how quickly it loses it. I couldn't figure out how to make it start less intense and make the light go further. You'll also see some kind of odd technical and graphical glitches in this, like this weird smoky shimmering on the floor. I have no idea what caused it. The lights flickering on and off, and the textures in odd ways are another thing. If anyone has any ideas of what causes this on Unreal, please feel free to leave a comment with some advice or resources. I'm always looking to learn and improve. So the aim of this game is to get to the secret treasure room, but it's going to be blocked off until you put the correct item in the correct slot. This little lightsaber thing that is shooting out of me is the grab range. Anything that I set up which I will allow to be grabbed has to be within this beam's range and area. We can see from the video when the beam doesn't hit anything and when the beam does hit something. So looking at the code here, the distance is a float of 400, which translates to about 4 meters in Unreal units, and the radius is about 1 meter wide. Although it is set here, using the edit anywhere command means we can set it inside the Unreal editor rather than having it hard coded like this. And then we go to the CPP file. We can see how this code works, and I added some comments here just to remind myself what each section does. Currently this is running in tick, which isn't very efficient as it's making all of these calls every single frame. So the next thing I need to do was tie some of these commands to the left mouse button, and this is where I'm going to take a short detour and talk about the concept of tutorial hell. So as of this upload date, this course is one of the top rated in Unreal and C++ for game development on Udemy, and I completely agree. GameDev.tv has been one of the biggest helpers for me in terms of helping me understand the basics of navigating game development software. I used it a lot to help me with my dissertation, and it was fantastic. But if you were following this guide religiously, at this point, this very well could have been a stopping point for you. Unreal, somewhat recently, if you don't know, changed to Unreal Engine 5, which is what this guide was made for. However, over the last couple of version changes, Unreal Engine has phased out and depreciated the old way of implementing player inputs, so basically how you control the character. This guide was created before this change was implemented. Now, the old way probably could still work, but the longer you go on attempting to implement it the old way, further down the line you're going to have problems, especially if it's a feature that gets removed completely. And this is what I'm talking about when I mention tutorial hell. It's the idea that if you follow the tutorial too closely, it becomes a crutch that you're too scared to escape from. Now, this is something that I've been guilty of in the past, not just in game development, but for a lot of things. Relying too much on tutorials and wondering why I haven't learned anything by the end of it. So I had to figure out how to do the new input system. Now, thankfully, it wasn't too difficult. I've already done it here, but here was my thought process. So, being able to control the player, I figured is a fairly important aspect and component that's probably going to be needed. So I checked the right-click context menu in the content browser, and sure enough, there is a thing there called input actions. So I created one just to see what it was. Then a menu popped up that contained similar features to what the old input system has, so I figured this was a good starting point. So I created it, and then currently, even if it's created, it's not connected to anything. And since, controlling is going to be a part of the player actions, I thought maybe there's something inside a blueprint that we can do. So I went on the player blueprint. And then, sure enough, one of the things that on the depreciated menu, it said I should look for enhanced input action. So I can create an enhanced input action with the input action I've just created. So yeah, this looks right. And I tested it out with some console strings just to make sure it connected up properly, and as you can see, it works. Not too bad. So this was a work in progress recording. We can spawn in, then we can see the torches start to light up while we're in the dungeon. There's that light flickering glitch that I don't know how to fix and don't know what to search for in order to fix it. And there's this overly large hole that I've created. If we look over there, we can see that there's an almost biblical light that's shining down on an empty spot. Seems kind of sus. Maybe something's missing there. Well, let's go explore and see if we can find something that might fit in it. And oh look, the light is shining down on this gargoyle. Maybe we can take that with us. We can. Let's see what happens when we put this in the light beam. Well, the wall gets stuck and the game soft locks because I didn't set it up correctly, but it's progress. I also figured out that perhaps due to some physics engine glitch, we can use speedrun strats to zoom around the level. If you pick up the gargoyle, jump, and then hold it in a certain position, you kind of like surf against it, which can speed you up or just shoot you in random directions. At least the door's fixed now. So here we are, last bit. I've added all the elements in and a player start, so let's go through it start to finish one more time. I've made some slight adjustments to the level so that it isn't just a vast empty hall. Here is a torch that I forgot to move that's floating in the air. Let's go and get that gargoyle, bring it back. We'll try the speedrun glitch again because it makes me smile.
Flying in the sky, cliff racer fly so high, fly.
There we go, gargoyle gets whisked away and the wall opens up. Oh, what's this? It looks like a treasure room with a very expensive statue. Let's steal it. When we take it, a fence comes up and we can't escape. Or maybe the treasure will fit through the bars. Yes, it will. Okay, but how do we get out? Can we use one of these urns laying around as a potential substitute? Yes, we can. The gate has opened up, and now we can escape with our treasure. So where do we go from here? Well, these are some of the weaknesses that I've identified. Reliance on tutorials to help me through a project. This is something that I'm going to need to wean myself off over the coming weeks. I'm only using tutorials so heavily now because I'm still trying to learn Unreal as a concept. Level design as a whole, I think I need to start small with this. I have an idea of how I'm going to practice this, but I think that's something for the future. 3D modelling. I've had a reliance on pre-designed asset packs at the minute. But since I am completely new to 3D modelling, it's something I've never done. I'm not at the stage of releasing products yet anyway, so I'm going to stick with the asset packs for now and set this as like a medium-term goal to learn how to create my own game models. There are still a couple of projects in this course that I'm following, a tank battle game and a third-person shooter. Both of them I am actually interested in following. One of the things that I underestimated about Unreal is its names for a lot of its functions and classes. To me, some of them don't really make sense, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm a moron or it's just because I'm inexperienced with the engine. I have heard from other game development communities that Unreal has a considerably steeper learning curve than that of Unity's, so I'm going to follow these and see if anything clicks. After that, I really want to take the training wheels off and develop something simple in Unreal with as little assistance as possible. I'm going to keep my cards close to my chest about what it is, but there is a mobile game that I've seen floating around that's filled to the brim with adverts that I think would actually make a pretty fun little game if it wasn't for this. So I would like to recreate that, just without the adverts. I don't want to give myself a time scale for this, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can have something released by maybe end of October. But yeah, other than that, next week we're going to move on to the tank game, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can learn and what I can adapt for the future. So yeah, hope to see you all here next week. Thank you very much for watching.